Welcome back to another RabbitMQ video. So I want to walk through a basic RabbitMQ cluster, and what I want to show you is essentially what I have running locally on my machine. So I have 3 RabbitMQ nodes currently running, and they're in the same network that I declared in Docker. So I have 3 containers. They're all in the same network, and I have them all authenticated with the Erlang cookie. And so I have a queue here that we've used before on the channel. Actually, it was if you go back and watch how to make that retry consumer, the latest one, I made a retry engine retry queue, but I left it as a classic queue. And I want to show you a couple things that I changed. Let me go back to, okay, I'm just trying to find, okay, right here. So when I go to declare my queue, I'm now setting the execute type to quorum. So that's basically your queue type, right? You have classic and quorum. And if you go into the management UI, you could also do it from here, right? You could also say add a new queue and then type classic queue and then stream, which we've also done streams on this channel as well. But now I'm actually going to be taking advantage of what a quorum queue actually offers. So a quorum, you just need an odd number of nodes because you have to have the majority agreement or majority nodes running for a quorum to be had, right? So I have 3 nodes, so I just have to have 2 out of 3 in agreement to take advantage of the highly available features of a quorum queue. So I want to show you basically I'm actually going to delete this queue. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that queue from the leader node, and now you can see that in the replicated nodes here, or the follower nodes, you can see that that queue has now been deleted as well. And so if I go back to the overview, this is my leader node here, and that corresponds to this container right here. So this container ID is the leader node. So the bottom 2 nodes or containers are attached to that, and they're all running inside the same Docker network. And so now I don't have any queues defined. So what I'm going to do is go back into my project, and I'm going to restart my project. And because I have some code to defined for my producer, it's going to go and build those queues when I call that. So let's go ahead and call that endpoint to send a message up to that queue. And I have a basic publish here that's just going to send hello world in bytes. And so I'm just going to continue that. And so now it made the queue. And again, these 2 follower nodes are going to match what the leader has on it. So if I go into this queue here, you can see right here the leader node is denoted with rabbit at and then the container ID. And again, that container ID matches this container here. And so if I go into, that's the leader, so this one, and then the members is going to list the leader as well as the additional 2 nodes, so these 2 that are attached to this leader. And so now I have one message in the leader, and then also it is now across both of the followers. And prior to version 3.9, I believe, of RabbitMQ, you could accomplish this with classic mirrored queues. But I believe after version 3.9, that was deprecated, I think. And so quorum queues essentially replace and kind of automate the replication that you used to get with classic replicated queues. So again, if we publish a message, I'm going to remove my breakpoint. So let's just publish a couple messages. Again, just a basic endpoint just to send data. So I now have, say, like 4 messages. So if I refresh here, you'll see 4 propagate to all the queues. And so I want to show you, oh, I guess we had 6. I want to show you a feature that you would get. So let's say that in my quorum, I bring down the second node here. So I killed that container, and let's go to my leader node, and I'm going to refresh this. Now you can see if I go to my overview, one of my nodes is now offline, so node not running. I'm then going to retry the message. So I'm going to send another message or publish another message to that queue. So now I should have 7 messages in that queue. This is the node that I brought down, and then this is the other running container. So I'm going to bring this container back online, and let's see what happens. So I'm just going to start the container back up from Docker Desktop, and I'm going to give it a second to connect. So immediately when it connects, it rejoins the cluster, and now it's updated here. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down both of the follower nodes. So now both of these are offline, and now I just have my main leader node. So now I don't have any advantages of the highly available nature of quorum queues because I'm only operating on one single node. So I'm not going to get the performance gain with the quorum queue, replicated across multiple nodes. It's actually going to be, I think, slower compared to just a traditional classic queue running on one node. Not a classic mirrored classic queue, just a classic queue running on one node. So I'm going to just send a message to that queue, and we'll see what happens here. So you can see that it's still spinning, and let me go to my console here, and I'm just going to wait a second, and we'll see what it does. So I don't actually know how long this is gonna it's gonna take. Okay, you see I got this error here saying unhandled exception occurred, a task was canceled, and you can see I get some RabbitMQ client exceptions here. So I get a publish, at publish retry message. That's where it actually broke. Let's go through and see if we can find a little bit more verbose error. Okay, so the error really doesn't give us like a true justice of what is happening. But what I want to explain is you can see that, okay, so the message did not get to this queue, right? So when you have a cluster, specifically with a quorum, you have to have at least an odd number of nodes running in that cluster, relative to how many you have. So I have 3, so I need to have 2 nodes running, so a majority odd of that cluster. And if I go into, so I'm not going to be able to produce to this at all, but if I go back into here and let's say I start up my node 3, so that one is now running, you can see that I still lost my message, but if I go into now execute, now I don't get any error message, and now it's up to 8. So it's a little bit nuanced functionality. So if you do have a quorum, you just want to make sure that you have majority nodes online, right? And typically it would be an odd number. So if you have, I believe if you have 3 nodes, you'd have to have 2, and then, if you have 5, you'd have to have 3, and then, so on and so forth. So you have to maintain a majority quorum, but I think it has to be odd. But again, I could be wrong about that, but that's just what I believe my understanding of it is. So I'm going to bring all the nodes back online, and when this one connects, it'll sync back up to 8 messages. And so now that's the producer. So you can kind of get a feel for this. I'm going to actually go into my application and go into my retry consumer. So I have a background service that's just as a consumer. We wrote all this code in another video, so if you want to, you can go look at the how to make a retry consumer. I'm going to set a breakpoint. I'm going to set a breakpoint here, right where it writes to the console. And I'm going to go ahead and start this again. And it's going to hit this breakpoint here. Oh, let me get rid of that breakpoints. Okay, so you can see it gets the hello world message. You can see that I have now unacknowledged 8. And so it's getting my delivery limit is set to 20. So if I hover over that, it's okay. I need to adjust the consumer there. So I'm actually going to just continue this. And what I want to do is I need to set a prefetch count on my specific consumer. So what I'm going to do is just on my channel, I need to just say channel dot basic QoS, and I want 1 prefetch 0 1 and false. Okay. When you use quorum queues, you can't set a global QoS. You have to do it. You have to do it by channel. Oh, I guess I do. If I'll just throw my cancellation token in there. Okay. All right. So now it's set to 1. You saw that what happened there is I didn't set my prefetch, and by default, I believe it's 20. You can see all my messages in there getting retried. So I'm actually going to go back, comment that out, and I'm going to send some messages to my queue again. Yeah, but you can't set a global QoS. You have to do it like per consumer for if you're using quorum queues in a cluster. So I'm just going to go ahead and populate some data back to those queues. Let's just get a decent amount. I guess I could have, sent multiple at a time instead of doing like that. All right, we should be good there. So I'm going to go back to my program, and I'm going to bring back my background service, and let me just make sure that I have my breakpoint still set here. Do I? Retry consumer. No, I don't. Okay. All right, so now I have the prefetch set on the channel. So you can see if I go back to my queue, and now I just have 1 unacknowledged. So now you can see here, okay, well, the delivery limit's 20. I'm looking for prefetch count is 1. That's what I meant to look at the first time. So I set a prefetch count to 1. So now I'm just going to get 1 at a time. And so now I'm going to write to my console, right? I get my hello world, and then this is my retry consumer, so it's going to retry this. So I do have to continue past my retry count. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to bring down one of my nodes here. So pull up Docker Desktop. I'm going to bring down my second node. So this is going to go offline in a second. All right, that went offline. So I just have 2 nodes running. And what I'm going to do is just continue now. And okay, what's my retry? Oh, I think because I think I made a retry count. Yeah, I did. Okay. go back to? Okay, so consumed all those. I might have to take out my, actually this is a retry. I don't want to, retry count basic. I'm actually going to post another message here. 14. Delivery tag. Oh, wait a second. Use empty. Oh, we might have found an interesting thing with quorum queues here. So I might have to go back to my header. Okay. I may have to use the header. I think I'm mistaken what the delivery tag was. Because if I... Yeah, because it's saying this is the 14th message delivered, which is correct. Ah, interesting. So, yeah, because the next one will be 15. Yeah. Very interesting. And so if I stop this... Oh, okay. And what I'm going to do is actually go back into here and comment this back. And I'm going to start this again because I think I might need to go back to what I had with my headers. Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. All right, so I got one message. Let's get into that message. So delivery tag. Okay, well, I'm not going to be able to see it on that. Oh. Next delivery count. Quorum. You know, I think for quorum queues, or really, because if I set, I'm actually going to go and, very interesting. I may have to go back to, let me go back. I'm going to make a new queue. I want to make a classic queue, and I'm just going to call it retry test with nothing else. You can specify what node you want to make it onto. All right, so I have retry test, and I'm just going to send a non-persistent message with test, publish message. So now I want to get that message, and you can see that. Oh, okay. Look at the difference. Well, here's something interesting here. Look at the difference of. Well, I'll just go to my second node. Ha! All right, let me go to my node here. I'm going to get messages. Look at the difference here. Delivery mode. Headers is blank, but headers you get a delivery count header on the quorum queue. So, you know, I think what we may end up having to do, we may have to just still knack the message and then re-queue it, but we may have to actually, at the end of the day, implement our own retry header. That may be actually what we have to do. That's, you know, that's an interesting catch there for quorum. So let's go and actually make that adjustment so I'm not messing up my consumer here. So what I'm going to do is now I'm not going to do retry count. Instead, I'm going to get it from what we had in the original video, ea.basic properties, and you can see that headers retry count. So that's the header I want to get now. And so what I'm going to do is now, so that's going to be an object. So I do need to make that, I'm just going to cast that to an int just for right now. And then I want to go back to my service and I want to, I'm just going to call it retry. Okay, I want to bring back my headers that I was sending to there. And that should take retry count -1. Okay. Very interesting. All right, so I'm actually going to do I have data in these queues? I didn't. Yeah, I do. Okay. That'll work then. So, well, actually, I tell you what, it's not going to because I don't have the. I'm going to go ahead and actually purge these messages from the queue to bring them back down to 0. And I'm going to go back to here and make sure that my retry consumer is not active. Okay. It is not, so I'm going to bring this back up and make sure that my queue on both nodes is 0. And I brought down one of my nodes, but that's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and send a couple messages on there, publish a couple messages to that queue. And I'm going to go ahead and look at one of the messages and make sure that my retry header is on there. Okay, so back to the original implementation with the custom header. Now we're just going to decrement that count, but I am going to use the knack but I do have to wait a second now. How is it going to get the, well, one thing we didn't consider, multiple count. You know, maybe you can't do the same retry implementation for a classic and a quorum queue. Is that true? Because you would have a delivery, I don't want the delivery tag, but I can't send the properties back up. Maybe, but what we do get is this delivery count. Now see, if I go to headers delivery count, delivery mode, redelivered, but it's redelivered here. I want to look at what I have available on the properties here. I think that's going to be the best way to do this, because it's not going to have any knowledge of that header after deliver. So yeah, let's restart this and let's pick up one of those messages here. I want to look at what the basic properties are we have access to, because I think this is going to be okay. Yeah, so we do have a delivery count here that we can use. But is that going to be set for the quorum? You know what I mean? Because I think that would be delivery count. Maybe not. Maybe, well, let's try it out. Let's try it out, because we're not going to be able to, because that just retried, right? And so retry count is still going to be 3 because it's still going to be on there, right? So basic properties. Okay, but see, now it's 1. How does that wait? Timestamp headers, retry, delivery mode, persistent message ID, delivery mode, content type, headers. Okay, well, and what happens? Retry. Let's stop and rerun that and get in our message. So the first one. The first message, we have 2 headers. We have a delivery count that's set to 1. But if I knack the message with retry to true, this is so weird. I mean, you see what I'm seeing here. Delivery count. Let's copy that value so I have it, so I know what I'm looking for. But if I continue, right, I'm just like, if I step through this, I reject the message. Retry count is equal to 3. Well, wait a second. Hello world. Something. I don't think my logic here. Wait. Basic. Retry count. It wasn't hitting there. Maybe, hold on, I'm going to start this again. I don't think it was hitting where I thought it was going to hit. Okay, so I get headers, delivery count, step through this. It's going to knack the message. And headers. Okay, well, so if you flat out reject it, yeah, delivery counts now 2. Retry count. Okay, well, I think that should be what we need then. Let's pull it off of delivery count. So delivery count's going to be 1. And 1, 2, 3. And then when it equals 3, I want to reject it. And it's going to send it over to my dead letter Q is what we had implemented in that. But I'm going to basically just retry count. Else, let me get rid of this because this, I don't want to, for this video, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to say if it's less than 3, we're going to retry it 3. I just want to do the functionality there, retry 3, otherwise acknowledge it. All right, let's start this back up, and I just want to see if, okay, oh, we probably all used all of my messages. Maybe not. What happened here? What's going on here? Let me. Oh, headers. basic properties, headers, x.delivery count 4. I may have to think about what is happening here. Is that a string? What is that? Hold on a second. Something's not going right. It's var retry. What is this? Six. Is it because we like? Seven. Oh boy. Oh, geez. Oh, it's a long. That's why. Dot parse. Oops. I was like, why is it? I know what's happened. Gee, because I was never in dot parse delivery count. Oh. Okay. I don't need to set that, but we are figuring this out on the fly here. Whoops. I missed one. Check out. All right. Let me run this again. I was like, wait, why in the world is delivery count so high for that one? 10. Right. Okay. So now it's not. I'm finally going to acknowledge the message. And then this should be how? Oh, well, hold on. It broke again on that. Delivery count is 1. Right. And it's going to be 2. All right. Because it's going to be, I'm rejecting it. Or knacking it. So now it's going to acknowledge it. I'm going to restart this. Okay, well, what happened here? Basic properties, headers. See, why do you not have a delivery count on the next message? What's up with that? Well, you saw that. I mean, how do you... What is up with that? Oh. Oh. Wow. That's a huge... Okay, so I just looked it up. The header's only present if it's been redelivered. And apparently you can see it's set on, but if it's not present, you have to treat it as if it's like if it's 0. So what I need to do is not do this. So it works with the quorum, but you have to, if it's not present, it's only present if it gets re-delivered. So in our case, you have to treat it as, okay, if it's not there, then I want to make it a I'm gonna treat it as 0. That's going to be an object. See, I need to make this a... What I can do is to string, but I can do... I'm going to do a 0 string. This is, I don't like this. Oh, boy. See, I don't like this at all. You have to get, but if it's not, because you have to check, okay, if the header is not present, you have to essentially set it and it will be 0. But if it is present, that indicates it's been redelivered at least one time. Okay, very interesting. So let's go and actually let's go and set a breakpoint there, and let's run it again. That's a huge gotcha. That's super confusing with quorum queues because it would be redelivered on the your follower nodes. So would your retry not be as consistent if you read from a follower node? I don't know. That's so string 1, right? Because this has actually been redelivered because I remember I stopped it after that. So this should now be 2, right? And then I'm going to convert it. Well, wait, can I just, if it's a long, can I just, wait a second, hold on. Well, it'd have to be an object, right? Well, okay, I'll get into that later. Now I'm going to, because it's going to be a long from RabbitMQ, but, four. Okay, yeah, because this is the time it's finally going to acknowledge. I'm like, now I'm just confused. So a basic ACK, right? You retried it 3 times, 4th time it's going to be, okay. Okay, so we have a new message. We should not have that delivery count header because it hasn't been redelivered. This is just the one I added, which is confusing, but it hasn't been redelivered, so we shouldn't have that. If we don't have it, we got to, oh boy. It's null. Oh, the header. Null. It shouldn't have been null. All right, hold on a second. Let's not do this because it's, jeez. It's gonna see. It's gonna be object, right? But I can't cast it if it's null. Oof. Let me try. Instead of accessing it like that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try get value. What does that What does that take out? Okay, long. Try count. I need it out. Have to just be var. Yeah, well, var delivery count. Okay, try get if it. All right. So. All right. Let's do let's do this again. I got to get through the first message again. Set a breakpoint. I bet you it already fit. I think it actually consumed all of them already. Which is a good sign for us because I think that means it worked. Okay. Maybe not though. Oops. Oh, yeah, I set my breakpoint way out there. Huh. All right. Oh, it did that little. Okay, so headers, it's not going to have the header for X delivery count. So if it does not, then it's going to be null. When it's null, I'm going to set my retry count to 0. But the second time around, because I knacked it and requeued it, it's going to have that header. So delivery count is now 1. So now, give that to an int. Retry. How many times am I going to retry this? 0. So second retry. Third retry. Fourth retry. So I'm actually retrying it 4 times. Oh, okay. So that. Now, is that the same thing that's present on a classic queue? Can I got to check that because retry test. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just get the message. I'm just going to knack it, right? Knack message requeue redelivered. But I don't have that header. Yeah, see, I think it's different, right? Because you can see clearly that I had that header on the quorum queue, but not on the classic. So you might have to do some different implementation for a retry strategy if you want it to take advantage of just knacking the message and having it requeued. Because I believe doing it like that preserves the order. You could do just a really rudimentary approach to retry that we did on the channel, actually, when you just republish the message to the queue and then use the header and then decrement on that header. But I don't think you would just I don't know if that's the same, if there's a benefit to doing it that way versus using the delivery count. I don't know. If somebody knows, that would be fantastic. Because basically what I'm asking is that on my service, if you do a retry implementation, like we did on the channel one time with a retry header, and then when you consume it, you can just, decrement on that header and then assign that header and then do what, something like this where you just republish the message with those headers, again, updated headers. Is there a difference between doing it that way versus knacking the message and then just using the delivery count header that's provided with RabbitMQ with a quorum queue? I don't know. Apparently the delivery count doesn't work, and that's what we had on. Man, there's a little bit of nuance to this, so it's interesting. But where I was going with this is I was going to let me actually bring up I'm actually going to publish a message again. So I'm going to publish a message. So now we're here. I'm going to bring down another node. So now I don't have quorum. So now I only have the leader node running, and I'm actually going to continue that. And see, now you can see that the message, despite the fact that we knacked it, it's now hanging because we don't have quorum and we only have one node active. So if I go to, you can see here, Now I don't have, see that? Now state is now a minority. I wonder if it'll let me, okay, let me go here. See, I don't have, online is only this one, so it's not going to work. And I'm just going to wait till I get the, I'm seeing if it'll error on me after a period of time. I don't know. Maybe it won't error. Let me wait like 10 or 15 more seconds. Let's see if it produces an error if you bring down a node like mid MAC. But so this will give us a good log, right? So this is the one we just got. So I don't see any error yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up node 2. I'm immediately going to go to my consumer again. Okay, so now if I go to header, you can see that redelivered. So it did. Now it's like it never went down. Okay, very neat. Very neat. Okay. But now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring up my third node here, but I'm going to bring down the leader node. So I'm going to bring down the leader node. And so now I only have the follower nodes 2 and 3 up. So now this node, the main one, isn't running. But what I'm going to do is now you can see that the leader node switched to now be the second container, which is this here. So now this is the new leader. And so now if I go to my code, I believe it should be fine. But let's see. Let me see if I have any messages waiting to be acknowledged. So I do have one message in the queue. Okay. Let me publish a message. Okay. Oh, I tell you what, I might be pointed directly at, yeah, I might be pointed directly at my leader node. Ha! Yeah, I am. Okay. Oh. Okay. So this brings up an interesting thing too. So I have to update my connection because you saw that if I bring my leader node down now, because if I go to my program here or my my connection, I might have it here. Let's find here. You see how I have. Oh no, not there. Where is this thing? Did I define it? Oh, I defined it here. Connection factory. Okay. I have to update the connection because now by default it's just going to use 5672, which is my leader node, but I have my replicated nodes as 5673 and 5674. So if my 5672 goes down, I got to have this connection factory be provided to the other 2 additional nodes in the cluster. So I think because I'm username and password, but I think what I got to do, create connection async. I think you can specify endpoints, can't you? Yeah. That's all right. I'm going to stop this here and let's see if we can specify some endpoints. All right, endpoints equal to list AMQPT. Yeah. Endpoint ESP string host name. See the host name. All right, so this is where I got to figure this out. Host name, port, SSL option. Okay, so I need these three. No. Container. New AMQP, TCP. All right, and this is the third one. So now I got to do new AMQP. And let's specify that. But now you have to specify 56 the port number. And I believe, yeah, 5673, and then should be 5674. And I think it gives you an option for SSL. SSL option. SSL option. Which I'm not using. New SSL. What is SSL option? Yeah, we're not using SSL, so I don't think I need to provide that. I think it gives us an override. Okay, so now I have my endpoints, and I should be able to specify automatic recovery is true, and network. Let's put that down to 1 second. Defaults, set defaults to disable automatic. Okay, I guess it defaults. Sure, we'll do it 5 seconds. All right, so here's my factory, but I need to provide the endpoints, I think here. I don't know if I need the host name anymore. Let's see if this allows us to connect to at least my, well, I'm going to need that to on my producer as well. Let me go to the factory and, oh, oops. I need to specify the same there. And I also need the list of endpoints as well. And then let me just provide the endpoints to my connection factory. Save that. All right, let me boot this up again. And remember, I don't have my leader node running, so I will know pretty quick if this actually worked or not. Again, this is my leader node. So internal server, yeah, node name nor username provided. So we're getting a socket error. Okay, it's not the worst thing we can get. I don't know if I need that, the host name. Let me try consumer. Let me get that out of there. And let me run this without the host name. Okay, so node name nor username provided, no name nor username provided. host name, port. I tell you what, I don't know if it would be the container. Actually, it might just be localhost, because I've already done the mapping in Docker. Let me do that. Because I think it would have to be the TCP port. Yeah, there we go. And now it should. Okay, cool. And yeah, there we go. Look at that. Sweet. So now, this is now my leader node here. Very cool. Okay. And I'm going to bring back up the leader node, and I want to see if this still remains the leader. So let's go ahead and... Oh, it does. Look at that. Yeah, so now 5672 is now a follower node. And, oh, very interesting. That's pretty cool. Okay. So I'm going to try this again. And I'm going to go ahead and set my breakpoint again here. And I'm going to retry the message. And so I got the message one time. Now I'm going to bring down my new leader node, and let's see if it switches automatically. Okay. Yeah, there we go. So now let's see what the new leader is. It should be this one, maybe 5673A. That might be. Okay, so it's back to 5672. Yeah. Queues. Man, very cool. All right, so it's switching. Retry is good. Yeah, okay. Pretty cool. So there's definitely some nuance to quorum queues for sure. I feel like it's a lot more configuration once you get your cluster set up, but obviously having a cluster, especially in a geographically distributed environment, is going to give you that highly available functionality that you would need, right, in a distributed system. You can do this by policy in RabbitMQ. I'll probably make a video on that, but I'm going to make a cleaner video probably after this, because this was a lot of experimenting and trial and error and see what works. But there's no real fast way to do this kind of stuff. It's really just you have to experiment and prototype. And I feel like I'm still learning things about the differences between Quorum and Classic and how to implement retry. Yeah, but if anyone actually knows about that retry with, just by setting an arbitrary retry header and then republishing the message after you decremented the header versus knacking the message and having requeue set to true and using delivery count, if there's a difference between those approaches, like fundamentally, if like one is better than another, let me know. That would be great if if we could figure that out. Maybe there's an obvious answer that I'm missing, but yeah, pretty cool. Obviously I didn't show like any of the networking side of things here. I can show that. But yeah, it's quorum queues in a cluster. We saw there's nuance, but if you need a highly available environment, that's what you're going to have to set up is having multiple nodes in your RabbitMQ server. Do I still have a node down? Yeah, I do. Let's bring all the nodes back up. And all right, let me just wait till that goes. If it goes green, I don't know if it will. All right, all my nodes are back up. There we go. And you saw the replication work. You saw what happened when you bring a node down mid write or read, and you saw it switch leaders, and yeah, it's pretty slick. Like, this is pretty cool. And again, this is just running locally on my computer, but obviously if you imagine this in running in different spots, geographically, if one server or one of your nodes goes down, you'll have backups, and you can have, we can make a video, we could have 5 nodes, and we could have, we can bring down a handful of them, but however, you have to retain quorum. So, but pretty neat. Again, this is just experimenting with it, but let me know what you all want to see next regarding this. But I'm going to probably make a cleaner video just showing like just basic, like a condensed version of this video. So yeah, we'll see. Anyway, thank y'all for watching, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.